the path to enlightenment without barriers. When people think of religion, they often picture sacred belief systems, immutable doctrines, and a supreme deity governing the universe. However, Buddhism emerges as a fascinating paradox, a religion that is not quite a religion. This may seem contradictory at first, but when one delves into the philosophy of the Buddha, it becomes clear that Buddhism is not based on blind faith or worship. Instead, it is an experiential journey to uncover the true nature of life. More than that, Buddhism opens the door for individuals to explore the reality of suffering and happiness. It is not merely about recognition but about inner transformation, allowing us to live peacefully amidst life's ups and downs. The Buddha's philosophy serves as a map guiding us to truth, rather than a rigid set of rules to follow mechanically. What makes Buddhism truly unique is that its path to liberation is open to all. Regardless of social status, gender, or background, anyone who is sincere and determined can find their way to enlightenment. Liberation is not about escaping reality but about learning to live fully. Understanding the impermanent nature of all things, and letting go of unnecessary attachments. This is the profound and deeply humanistic message that Buddhism offers to the world. Unlike many traditional religions, the Buddha did not establish a rigid belief system filled with dogma. He did not claim the existence of an almighty God, nor did he promise a blissful heaven after death. Instead, he taught people how to observe their own minds, understand suffering and its causes, and discover the path to liberation. Buddhism does not demand belief, it encourages experience. Come and see for yourself. This was the Buddha's sincere and challenging invitation. Furthermore, in the path of enlightenment, recognizing the nature of the mind is considered the most crucial key. The Buddha taught that the human mind is like a lake, when calm. It reflects reality with clarity, but when disturbed by greed, anger, and ignorance, it becomes clouded, distorting the truth of existence. The practice of mindfulness meditation serves as a tool to still the waters of the mind, allowing wisdom to arise and revealing the true nature of suffering and happiness. Faith and reality, the fundamental difference. While many religions are founded on faith in a supreme being, Buddhism focuses on understanding the true nature of reality. The Buddha taught that suffering arises from attachment to impermanent things. We often fear the transient nature of life and seek security in metaphysical beliefs. The image of an all-powerful God is, at times, a product of that fear, an attempt of the human mind to shield itself from its own fragility. To gain deeper insight, we must explore the relationship between faith and reality. Faith, if not grounded in direct experience, can become a veil that obscures the truth. Reality, according to the Buddha, cannot be grasped through theories or words but can only be recognized through mindfulness and personal experience. Only when we dare to face our fears and suffering can we truly understand that everything, including our own minds, is impermanent. The practice of meditation allows us to perceive the ever-changing nature of all phenomena, liberating us from the constraints of blind belief. Furthermore, in the path of enlightenment, the concept of right faith is emphasized as an essential stepping stone to overcoming misconceptions. Right faith is not unconditional belief but a trust that arises from direct experience and verification. This distinction is what separates metaphysical faith from true understanding of reality. By seeing reality as it is, one can live with greater ease, free from the weight of false concepts and negative emotions. However, Buddhism does not outright reject faith. The Buddha pointed out that instead of avoiding suffering through abstract concepts, we should confront it directly and understand its true nature. Enlightenment is not a reward for those who believe, it is the result of awakening through genuine experience. Ego and non-self, the inner struggle. One of the core distinctions of Buddhism is the concept of anatta, or non-self. While many believe that the soul is a permanent, unchanging entity, the Buddha taught that everything is merely a temporary composition of the five aggregates: form, sensation, perception, mental formations, and consciousness. There is no fixed I that truly exists. The ego is but an illusion, born from the mind's attachment and fear. To understand this more deeply, it is crucial to recognize that the ego is not an independent entity but a collection of memories, habits, and emotions accumulated over time. When the mind clings to these, we fall into the illusion of a permanent self. This attachment to the self is not just a mental construct but manifests in our actions, words, and overall attitude toward life. By accepting the truth of non-self, we can let go of unnecessary worries, live with greater ease, and become more open to life's experiences. The Buddha also pointed out that the ego is the root of suffering. When we perceive ourselves as the center of the universe, we are easily hurt, angered, or envious when our desires are not fulfilled. The practice of meditating on non-self helps us realize that everything is in constant motion, shaped by countless causes and conditions. Nothing is fixed, not even our own consciousness. With this understanding, we can live in greater harmony, cultivate love and compassion for others, and free ourselves from the constraints of selfishness. When one realizes that they are not a separate entity but an inseparable part of the universe, they naturally let go of unnecessary struggles. Greed, hatred, and ignorance all arise from attachment to the self. By understanding this, we can discover true freedom and serenity in the simplicity of everyday life. Suffering, the gateway to enlightenment. In life, suffering is inevitable, yet, in Buddhism, suffering is not seen as a punishment or misfortune, but rather as a gateway to enlightenment. The Buddha taught that suffering does not originate from external circumstances but arises from within the mind itself, from craving, attachment, and unfulfilled desires. However, not everyone finds it easy to accept this truth, as human instinct naturally inclines toward avoiding pain. The Buddha emphasized that instead of running away, we should face suffering as a teacher. When we courageously look into our pain, we uncover its causes and learn how to transform it. Every moment of suffering carries a lesson, an opportunity to gain deeper insight into ourselves and the impermanent nature of life. The Four Noble Truths serve as a guiding light in understanding suffering. 1. The truth of suffering, dukkha. Life is inherently filled with suffering, birth, aging, illness, and death, along with feelings of dissatisfaction and loss. Suffering is not only the obvious pain we experience but also the subtle discontent hidden within fleeting moments of happiness. 2. The truth of the cause of suffering, samudaya. The root of suffering is craving, the mind's endless pursuit of pleasure and permanence. When we cling to something, hoping it will provide lasting happiness, we unknowingly trap ourselves in a cycle of restlessness and dissatisfaction. 3. The truth of the end of suffering, nirodha. Suffering can cease when craving is extinguished. This does not mean giving up all desires but rather learning to let go of attachments so that they no longer control our minds. 4. The truth of the path to liberation, magga. The way to end suffering is through the Noble Eightfold Path, a set of 8 principles that guide one toward mindfulness, wisdom, and inner peace. Understanding suffering does not darken life, rather, it illuminates the truth that all suffering is temporary, just as storms pass and leave behind clear skies. Pain, too, comes and goes. When we accept suffering as an inherent part of life and learn to coexist with it, we discover a profound sense of peace and true happiness. The Noble Eightfold Path, a compass to liberation. The Noble Eightfold Path is not merely a set of philosophical teachings but a practical guide for daily life. For those living in the modern world, it can be understood as a set of principles that help individuals find balance and happiness. These are not rigid rules but practical suggestions for living a meaningful and peaceful life. Right view, samma ditthi, understanding life's true nature. Right intention, samma sankappa, cultivating positive thoughts, free from greed and hatred. Right speech, samma vacca, speaking truthfully and kindly, without causing harm. Right action, samma kammanta, acting ethically, avoiding harm to oneself and others. Right livelihood, samma ajiva, earning a living through honest and righteous means. Right effort, samma vayama, continuously striving for self-improvement. Right mindfulness, samma sati, being fully aware of the present moment. Right concentration, samma samadhi, training the mind to achieve inner peace and focus. These principles not only lead to enlightenment but also bring peace and balance to life in the modern world. Letting go and inner freedom. In today's world, filled with material temptations, it is easy to get caught in the endless cycle of ambition and comparison. Yet, The truth is that the more we chase external desires, the emptier we feel. The Buddha taught that true happiness does not come from attaining what we want, but from our ability to let go of those desires. Letting go does not mean giving up everything. It means freeing the mind from the grip of endless cravings. When we accept impermanence and understand that everything is subject to change, we no longer fear loss or failure. Happiness is not a destination, it is a state of mind that arises when we fully embrace the present moment. A deeper understanding of the art of letting go reveals that it is neither indifference nor avoidance of responsibility. In Buddhism, letting go is a conscious practice of not allowing our desires to dictate our emotions and actions. It is a state of inner peace that remains unshaken by success or failure. Practicing letting go requires patience and courage. We must recognize unrealistic desires, abandon unattainable expectations, and learn to accept what is beyond our control. Letting go is a profound lesson in inner freedom, one that liberates us from fear and attachment. It is a state of tranquility that anyone can achieve by deeply understanding and applying the Buddha's teachings. In modern society, the practice of letting go becomes even more crucial as people become entangled in the relentless pursuit of careers, status, and societal expectations. Letting go does not mean abandoning one's goals but maintaining clarity of mind and detachment from outcomes. Only when we release our rigid expectations can we truly live in the fullness of the present moment. Letting go is not merely an action, it is an art of living, a key that unlocks freedom and serenity amidst life's uncertainties. When the mind is no longer bound by endless desires, the door to true happiness and inner peace naturally opens. Conclusion. Buddhism, the path of awakening. Buddhism does not promise a distant paradise or salvation after death. It is the path of awakening, where each individual must explore and experience reality for themselves. When we learn to observe the mind, let go of illusions, and fully embrace each moment, we come to realize that happiness has always been present, we simply never paused long enough to feel it. This is the journey toward self-realization. It is not found in some faraway place but within each action, each breath, and each thought in daily life. Self-awareness is not an abstract concept, it is a living process, unfolding in every moment. When we release our illusions about the self, about external values, we gradually touch the deeper truth, that we are inherently a part of the vast universe, neither separate nor fixed. The journey of self-discovery requires courage to face our deepest fears, our unresolved pain, and even our seemingly justified desires that, in reality, burden the mind. The Buddha taught that all the answers lie within us, if only we have the patience and stillness to listen. And finally, always remember, the Buddha is merely a guide. The path must be walked by us alone, with patience, courage, and an open heart.